Hi guys. So after last week's talk or sermon that I gave at my church, I spoke with a member of my family who told me that that they had watched part of it, didn't get to finish it, and it had them thinking. Were just coming home from a humanitarian conference and had stopped to visit with some family members, some in their 90s, some in their 70s, and was recounting to me this sort of story of, having visited with them and, hearing them still use some racial slurs or refer to people with different nationality or different skin color in racist terms without any thought or without any hesitation. And this family member had asked me, this is so many generations. I'm kind of paraphrasing here. How many generations is it going to take for this to die out? Now, I don't know if I ever ended up watching my talk. If you haven't seen it, I'll put a link in the description. I don't know if he said anything to them, when they used those words in front of him, if he corrected them in any way. But racism isn't just going to die out. We can't just sit here, maybe if we get like however many generations hence, then it'll be gone, and then we don't have to worry about it. We just wait it out. We'll just wait it out, and these older people will die off, and then everything will be fine, and everybody's going to get along, and there's not going to be racism anymore. Well, that clearly doesn't work. If you are a white person and people feel entirely comfortable referring to non-white people, non-European people of non-European descent in front of you in ways that are bigoted, prejudiced, or racist, you just ignoring it. Well, they're from a different generation. It'll just eventually die out. It's not going to die out. You have to correct that. You have to think about, right? So my parents are in their late 60s now. And when you think about the civil rights movement, who are the people turning, hoses on people in the streets protesting for civil rights? Those were the people, holding the hoses or turning the fire hydrants and sticking the dogs on them, with the people who were the parents, not literally necessarily, but the parents' age, that were raising people my parents' age, who were raising people my age, who are raising the kids from today. Well, those sorts of sense of prejudice and bias get passed down, right? You pass that down from generation to generation, and until someone speaks out against it, it doesn't just die out, right? There are, people still alive who lived during that time, many of whom I guess are sitting and watching Fox News and building up their own strength and prejudice against people right now. So, hang on a sec. Hi. Yes, you know.
Thank you, Mom.
Okay. So, if you don't push back, and their kids might not be pushing back because they've been raised the way they've been raised, or maybe they haven't been, right, and they do. But there's not going to be some magical thing that it's a trait that just sort of eventually dies out in the evolution of human society. We have to speak out, right? So, you can't just keep ignoring Uncle Joe or Aunt Marge or whoever when they're saying something ignorant, right? Until we make it uncomfortable, it's not going to stop, right? It's socially acceptable, right? They know that they can say that stuff in front of you, and you're not going to do anything about it. And until it becomes entirely socially unacceptable it's not going to change. So, and that's one of those things, like I said, I spoke about a little bit in my talk, and you're welcome to view it, was certain things that happened, people I love, and I didn't speak up about it. And this is, things that happened 20 years ago, 10 years ago, the undercurrents that we have right now that were undercurrents of racism that are now very much coming to a head and are becoming more blatant and open. They've been there. And we like to think, oh, well, they died out. No, it's, that's all in the past. And we sat there thinking that and assuming, well, we're better now than that generation, but we're not. We haven't been. And, like that family member said, what's it going to take for it to die out? You have to starve it of its oxygen, right? Like, it's not just going to go on its own. We're just letting that flame burn and just watch it burn everything in its path because we're afraid of it. And the people who are going to stop it, it's our responsibility. We have to say something, right? I certainly have failed to. Sorry. Motorcycle. I've certainly failed to say stuff and speak out of fear, not wanting to cause trouble at the family dinner table or whatever. And certainly, with certain differences, I saw something that online, might have been on Twitter, where like political differences are like, you disagree on the maximum height of a building in your town, but people's humanity is not a political difference. It's a human difference. And so while you might not want to necessarily talk about political discourse that doesn't have to do with our shared humanity as people, I can understand that may not feel, fussing over zoning or whatever might not feel like the best use of your time at the dinner table. If there are people in your life who are actively denigrating people who don't look like them or don't believe like them in terms of like their religion or their color or what language they speak or where they come from, or whether they're immigrating here from a place that they don't think ought to be immigrating here, and they want to say that stuff in front of you not saying something back is not going to change anything. I mean, if you're just being silent, you're being complicit. It's not going to die out. So I'm challenging me, I'm challenging you, that if you see this with people that you know online, say something. Let them know it's not acceptable. If somebody, if you're a white person and you come across another white person who just like offhandedly says it because they assume, well, you're white too, so you're just gonna think the same ignorant thing I am, and you're just like, okay, well, you don't answer anything back, correct them. It's not gonna die out if we don't do anything about it. So that's how you get it to die out. So to my family member out there, if you were watching this, that's how you do it. So like, you go back in the time machine, you sit down with those family members last week or whenever it was that you saw them, and you say, hey, you know what? No. That's not okay. This word that you're calling this person's not okay. These things that you're saying are not okay. And I'm not going to tolerate that. Because we're all in this together. And it's not going to get better until we say something and do something. And we're at a point right now that it's not just a mere inconvenience, right? Like, you can look around and sort of see what's going on with our society, and you can see that the cost of our silence is devastatingly huge, and from oppression, not just inconvenience, but all the way to death for some people, being written off entirely. It's not okay. And so, I don't know. This is not the world that I hoped for my children to inherit. And so, while I'm still here, I can work on making sure that the world they inherit is one where they know that people are pushing back against that, pushing back against racism, pushing back against classism, pushing back against xenophobia. And I hope that you'll join me. And it's hard, sure, but we have to do it. Like, we have to do it. We're here now. We don't have a choice. So I encourage you, when you're in the presence of that, of hatred, of bigotry, of people who have succumbed to sort of like these fear campaigns of, you know, be scared of this type of person or that type of person. Think about what their agenda is, which is to divide, right? And put the agenda of our shared humanity and love for our neighbor, no matter where they come from or what they look like. Put that first, and let's fix this. Thanks.